What up, everybody? Welcome to the Dig Deeper Network. I'm your host, Cody G. I appreciate you tuning in. Getting more feedback. I was told to zoom in a little bit, get rid of the mirror, several things, and I'm working on it all. My shirt was too loose, but hey, I asked for it. Feedback, please, guys, down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Give me a like or subscribe. Let me know what you thought. I've heard this story just way too much today for me to not do it. I was trying to record it yesterday. Procrastination gets the best of us all the time. The story here that I have that I wanted to cover today, I'm sure that you have heard a good deal about it, is the occupation in Oregon. It's Harney County, Oregon. In rural towns of Oregon, you got miners, you have loggers, and you have ranchers. Those are the folks who take advantage of the land. Now, sometimes these people butt heads with the government and with regulations of what they do. Of course they should. This particular occupation is about the Bureau of Land Management. The Bureau of Land Management is the enemy in the eyes of the self-proclaimed patriots. These folks claim that it's time for the government to stop putting their paws all over our land, and this is the land of the free. There are certain things that the government does to folks like the rural ranchers, miners. The government apparently approaches them, especially in western states, and they're looking to purchase the land. Now, the folks who don't give up their land, they are bullied by the government, and they try to pin ridiculous charges against them, lock them up, and then take their land. This is specifically about the case with the Hammond Ranch that is in Harney County, Oregon. It's about 12,000 acres, I believe. They used fire to cut back on plant overgrowth. They used a control fire to do something farm related. In that burn, it says that the fire traveled into the territory of government protected lands, and that is considered a major crime. Major crime. The government is in the process of, and I think they're getting locked up today, of arresting the Hammonds for what happened in 2010. There was a fire on the border of their property, I suppose. Now they're getting locked up, and now that they're being persecuted, there's a guy named Ammon Bundy, and he happens to be the leader of this occupation. Ammon's father went through the same thing with a bout with the government, but he stood up with a militia and guns and made the government go away and fought against their perceived tyranny. Ammon, I watched a 20-minute diary from this guy. Ammon said that he felt this calling because he witnessed what he went through with the Bundy Ranch, and that was out in Nevada. And he noticed that the Hammond story touched him in a particular way. He said that he had this calling from God to tell them that this is exactly the time to stand up and stand your ground, and they are alienating and hurting human rights. And he felt on even to a religious standpoint that it would be the righteous thing to do what he's doing with leading this group of people and standing up for a cause that they think is right. Currently, they're in a wildlife preserve. It's called the Malheur National Wildlife Preserve, and we have about 300 self-proclaimed patriots that are posting up there, and they claim that they have food and shelter and that they are going to stay there until justice was served. The federal government controls a lot of land in the western states. This is not something that everybody faces. You know, we got folks that live in urban areas and areas in the east, and you know that are drawing up opinions. If you're rural and you know the rural economy there, you would know that the government is limiting what resources are available on the land, and the government, the federal government, decides to protect certain lands, and if people break rules, they make sure that they get them good. In my perspective, I think that this is a righteous cause. I think that they're exercising their rights. Nobody has come out as being shot at, that these people are peaceful. Now, even though they have a bunch of guns, they're showing that they can be peaceful with a bunch of guns. And they are making a statement. However, I don't know how our government's going to react. Ammon Bundy is taking up this, and he's got really nothing to gain or lose in this. He is doing this in the name of the Hammonds. Once he started making a ruckus, the Hammonds were contacted, and they had to issue a statement that they are not related to Bundy's standoff, and rightfully so. They are getting contacted from government officials overseeing their going to prison. They called them and said, "You got to denounce this. We're going to make it worse for you. We're going to take you to a prison that is less favorable, and you're not going to get to wait. We're just going to snatch you up, and, we can change our mind about how long we're going to hang on to you." So they had to come out and say that they definitely don't agree. But clearly, the Hammonds are totally behind this as well. And I do believe that folks that make a living off of resources, like lumber, like mining minerals, like farming, these are businesses that have to thrive. These you hardly look at them as businesses, but they are contributing to something that is massively important in the country, and we need to understand why it is that these people are upset. So what's interesting is that the Patriots, in their claim, they sound righteous. However, looking at cases like Waco, Ruby Ridge, these two were in the 90s. These were rural standoffs with the government that turned into massacres. Bundy is coming out because him and his father's land, they did this standoff. The government was coming after them for the good quantity of money. They got them to turn around and change their mind and sweep it under the rug. You don't see them going and arresting this guy, even though they still owes his grazing fees of like $1.5 million. So he is trying to encourage this, and he feels like God told him to do it. And I think that our government is going to demonize him, and it's really going to create that divide. Okay, well, if you understand what Mr. Bundy's cause is, if you understand where the government is proving their tyranny, more and more people that get on this side, more and more people are going to stand up against the government, start to wager with them and cut deals and negotiate so that they have everything that they want. Now, I'm saying as a citizen, this is something that we should all feel pretty proud of. These people are laying their lives in front of what they believe is justice. They believe that they can practice the Constitution against the government and stand up for a rightful cause. I thoroughly believe that this is going to go down in the history books. I really do. I think it is up to our government to recognize this and figure out what they want to do. The people are starting to stand up and saying what they don't like about the government. The people are starting to stand up and demand change. The people will stand up and they will put their lives on the line for a better country. I don't see why it is that they are being perceived as rednecks, ignorant, radical people. I don't understand why they're being perceived as terrorists. So the federal side, they're defending themselves about the Hammond case, and it doesn't seem to correlate. They say that rendered the land useless for 2 years. They burned a massive amount of land, and they believe that them burning it was to poach deer from the government land. They claim that they found deer with bullets in them and scars, claiming that that was the whole purpose of that fire. Not the crop that they're going to make a ton of money off of, just the deer that they, it makes sense, I suppose, but they got cattle. So at this point, the government kind of has the Hammonds in a vice. They said that they cannot sell anything over $500. They cannot talk. They are silenced, and things are going to get worse for them if they do anything but be silent and say anything about this. But to me, I feel like Ammon Bundy is standing up for a righteous cause, and he is doing it for America, and I believe that this is way more American than the federal bureaus of people coming out and swatting people from the land. I believe that these people that want to lay their lives on the line are willing to die over this cause for a better country, for freedom or justice. History shows with the Waco siege, the Ruby Ridge siege, and the Oklahoma City bombing, that situations like this, where rural folks are standing up against the federal government, where they're fighting for their liberties, I think that the government should acknowledge that Waco and Ruby Ridge were mishandled and caused massacres over personal freedoms. And in 2015, as sensitive as we are about everything, I think it's time for them to take priority in these folks standing up. Anyway, guys, very interested as to how this story is going to pan out. Thanks for tuning in to the Dig Deeper Network with your host, Cody G. It's always great having you here. I mean it. Let me know what you thought about this story. I'm going to try and work on getting it out as soon as possible. I got more content on the way. Let me know what you thought. Aiming to do better every time, so please let me know. Subscribe, give me a like, and until next time.